Hey guys, and welcome along. And today I'm going to be talking to you about the Hermitage Cave. It's something that had piqued me interest a long time back. A friend of mine had sent me a photograph of a Hermitage Cave, and it fascinated me at the time. This is a photograph, a similar photograph to it, not the actual one. It was in South Dublin County Council libraries or records somewhere along the line, and I had heard stories about the cave here and there. Um, the Hermitage Golf Club. There was a story about four knights that had. Well, there was a knight, and him and the maiden. He went to the father, asked for the father's permission to marry this maiden, and was denied. And him and her took off, and four knights went after them, caught up with them. What what would be the golf club, and there was a fight to the death. Um, all five knights died, and apparently there's a lime tree all around the golf club for where each knight died and was buried, and the maiden herself died, unclear how. And there was a white tree where she was buried, which is gone, but the lime tree still exists. Another variation of the story would be the knight asked for her hand in marriage. He was denied it and became a hermit and lived in the hermit's cave. And the story all revolves around some guy, a hermit, living in a cave. And it's hence the area got the name of the Hermitage, be it the Hermitage Hospital or the Hermitage Golf Club. And I more or less went out of my mind until recently a fellow explorer sent me on a message. It's actually from a website that has a couple of stories that school children had wrote years ago, and someone's printed them. And I think this one was from a 16-year-old child, I think. But anyway, it goes about a mile from the 11th green at the Hermitage, along the banks of the Liffey, on the Palmerstown side, there is a cave. It is about 10 yards from the paths beside a big wall opposite the Waren's Nest, a public house. So that's fairly good description of where. In the cave, there is a skull. It is said a man went into the cave, took the skull off a slab, he turned around and found himself shut up in the cave. He left the skull on the slab, and when he turned around again, the cave was open again, and it was said that anybody that tries to take the skull with him, and then has continued to the next page, and you can't, no matter how much I tap on it. But then I recalled having read a similar story. And I find with these old stories, there's normally something to them. So with this one again, is a school child, and this will show its age because it references trams. The Hermitage Golf Club is about a mile and a half east of Lucan. There are many old tales about the Hermitage Woods. The one I am going to write about is the Hermitage Cave. A long time ago, it is said that a hermit used to live in the cave. The cave is about a quarter of a mile from the Hermitage Golf Club. If anybody from Dublin wanted to see the cave, he would have to get the tram to the Hermitage, then go down to the clubhouse and around the back of it, where he would see a path which would lead into the woods, and he'd follow that path. Then the other story tells of a wall between there and the hospital, and it's not too far from the Liffey. So there's two descriptions that more or less give us an idea of how to get to it. Now there is another story, again written by a school child, about a cave that's quite deep, and there was bones, and then there was subsidence, and it got buried. But this seems to reference the Hermitage Cave, where the hermit lived. So by piecing the two of those together, I'm going to head on over and see if we can find it. So yeah, let's try doing that. So off I went. I thought the best course of action was just to head to the golf club and go in and ask the people there, because they're the people on the ground, the most likely to have some knowledge of what's there. And it worked for me in Luttrellstown the time I went to Luttrellstown. The people were great and let me go down to the Hermitage there and film it. So I went over to the shop before just beside the first tee, and I went in. There was two young lads, and they hadn't got a clue what I was talking about. They were looking at me like I had two heads. But luckily enough, just as I was leaving, a lady came out of the storeroom, and it was like she knew why I was there. She said, "Are you here to get photographs of the cave?" I said, "I am, yeah." And she actually came out, brought me over where the first tee off is, and gave me directions from there on how to get to it. Now, as she said herself, she hadn't actually ever been to it, but she had a general idea from people that had. So that was promising, and I set off from there. The lady had explained well which way to go, but she knew where she was talking about, and I didn't. This was all new to me. So, kind of with a combination of the direction she gave and the story I read, the two stories, piecing it together, I tried to find it, working my way from both descriptions. Okay, I'm in the Hermitage. I'm on the hunt for the cave. It's eluding me at the moment. But you have to be super careful here because some severe drops. So going by the children's old story, I looked for a pathway and a wall, which eventually I found. To be honest, there's parts of me that are kind of starting to have regretted starting this. But don't get me wrong, the place is beautiful. But I don't know how many near bad falls I've had, and I haven't brought any water or a spare set of lungs. But we'll keep going. I'm gonna go because I really need two hands. Between the Hermitage Golf Club and the Hermitage Hospital, as described in the story, there was a wall, so I knew I was getting closer. Okay, so I've made it down to the Liffey one piece, only just. But the end of the fence here, obviously a security measure, has been well and truly mangled. But just literally from where I'm standing, let's see if I can turn this around. I see something. Let's go see it together at the same time. I think I'm onto the right spot. Nah, it's just an illusion by the leaves. I searched around here for a good while, and to be honest with you, was taking some unnecessary risks. Like the pathway, if you can call it a pathway, is extraordinarily slippy. There's loads of parts where there's been subsidence, or where trees have come down, or the embankment has gone, or even parts where you're walking along, it's given away underfoot. And some parts are severe drops into the Liffey, and the Liffey is quite deep at this part. If you're not falling into the water, you're going into rocks. Okay, so I've literally walked the whole way down, top and bottom, like all the way up, all the way back, all the way down, all the way, well, you're gonna have to head all the way back. I can't find it. I reckon it's probably just up above, up here somewhere, but I can't find access up to the next level, if you know what I mean. So, no luck today. Right, I'm gonna try and get myself out of here safely. I had looped the area top and bottom twice and had enough, and it was time to go. Okay, but I thought it was an illusion. I'm not so sure now. That looks like an opening. It's definite rock. It was clear to me there was people here before. It looked like the vines and growth had been burnt away from the cliff, and there was graffiti on the wall. And this part here, the ground and all looked like subsidence. So I couldn't see what was beneath it here. There was definitely had been people. I'd say where the security fence was broken, people had come in from the Hermitage or where the weird is and had made their way into this section. So I decided just to walk up and have a look and see if I could see anything. I had passed by this way 3 times already and didn't really think anything of it. And it wasn't until I actually walked up here and looked around the corner, and there it was. This one was more kind of hidden out of the way, and that's the cave right there. When you back around here and look back, there's what looks like a doorway, but it doesn't go in deep. I have to admit, I was happy. I actually found it. I was relieved. Well, at long last I found it. It's nothing like what was in the picture, but it's a cave nonetheless. I have to say, if that's where someone used to live, God love them. This part here I'm climbing over looks like a part that collapsed. It's nothing like the folly that I expected to see. So, well, that's very easy to miss. But you can see where that piece there has come down. There's another part over here which looks like it was a spring. That could be just the water making its way down through. And this part here. So there is stories of parts that were much deeper. I was actually looking for the cell, the one that you see in the picture with the bars. So I actually passed by this twice. So I'm happy I found it. Gives me a conclusion to it. So there you go, that's the Hermitage Cave. God love the poor man that lived in that. You have the actual Hermitage cell that you see in South Dublin County Council's file exists. I don't know, I haven't been able to find that. The construction of that looks very similar to the Hermitage in Luttrellstown, the rock. It looks like it's made out of the same kind of rock. A couple of falls along the way. But yeah, so this is it. Okay, that concludes this. Yeah, fairly close to the Liffey. And I'm not looking forward to the climb back up now, to be honest with you. The last time it near killed me. As I said, there's 249, far from fit, so not an easy trip. But in the end, now it's worth it. It wouldn't have been if I hadn't found it. So yeah, not the type of cave I imagined, but that's not to say there was others that were deeper. Okay, well, hopefully you enjoyed that and brings a bit of a conclusion to it. So if you ever hear of the Hermitage Cave, you've seen it. That's how this area got its name. Now look, I'm no expert, archaeologist or geologist. This is just a hobby to me. So if you don't like what I'm actually doing here, please by all means go do your own, but don't be getting upset. It's just a hobby and my point of view, and you're more than welcome to do your own, of course. As of this date, May 2021, I've seen nothing actually on YouTube. So hopefully when this goes up, others will join in and give things more accurate. Now, as for that cave, So I found the Hermitage cell or cave in the end, and it's not actually in the Hermitage as in Lucan. It's over here in St Enda's Park in Rathfarnham. Patrick Healy, the photographer that put the photograph in South Dublin County Council, took photographs around on himself or whoever, just probably put this in as a reference. So I was going through the Hermitage looking for a structure that wasn't actually there, but I'm delighted I've actually found it because I was curious about it, and it kind of is a good way to conclude it. So yes, there's a Hermitage cell. It's very small and it's down at the Liffey. To me it looks like it was something where they quarried, and maybe it was a dig out for people to go in, or maybe someone did live in it, and that's why it was called the cell, because it's so small. It's shocking and sad to think that someone lived in it, like something like this, which looks more like a house would have been much better for someone, but unfortunately this is just a folly. I expected it was going to be a folly, but I thought it was there because that's where it was listed. Well, anyway, it's a conclusion. Thanks for watching. Not too sure if there's deer about it, but every now and again in these woods you hear a fairly loud thump. You feel it through the ground, and it's very disconcerting, especially when you're on your own.